Now, one of the things I like doing on this show of ours is talking about and bringing up issues which aren't always talked about. Well, one of those subjects which affects many people is being a single parent, in particular, bringing up children in the Asian community. What's the big deal about that? Well, it's a fact that single parents can be shunned by family and friends, leading to isolation and loneliness, not just for the parent, also for the child. Well, Aruna Bansal suffered from the stigma when her arranged marriage ended, but as a result, she set up the Asian Single Parents Network to offer support and helps. That's what I want to find out more about now. And Aruna, good evening to you. Welcome to BBC Radio London.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
Not at all. Thank you for making time for us on this Monday evening. Tell us about the Single Parents Network. What I want to ask, first of all, is it just for Asians? What about people of mixed race, of non-Asian backgrounds?
Anybody's welcome to join, but they have to be aware that it's predominantly South Asians that join our network, because there are other single parent organisations out there which are for everybody. But the need for this is because of the cultural aspects, because it's different to the Western culture. So you've got the whole side of stigma, when becoming a single parent in this community.
So tell us a bit more about that, about the stigma and about what the Asian Single Parents Network do, which other single parents networks, which do exist, like you say, don't do. What's different about this? What are you tackling that they might not be as aware of or as sensitive to?
Well, we create a safe space for members where they're all in the same boat and they can talk to other people who understand what they're going through. Because when I went through it, for example, I had friends who were from the Western culture, but they didn't fully understand what I'd been through. So I had an arranged marriage, for instance, and, their traditions with that as well. And I wasn't able to talk to anybody really when I went through it because they didn't understand. So there's stigma in society, and, it's a good safe space where people can talk to others in the same boat.
And do you offer advice to these people who come to you, or is it a space where you just listen, where people can talk and let things off their chest and just feel free and comfortable to speak to others?
We have divorce consultants. So we have a session on a Thursday night, for example, where members can come along and speak to other members and also get advice from the consultants. So it's a bit like counselling, so they can talk through anything that they're going through. So, for instance, if they're having a hard time from their family because they're getting a divorce or they haven't really told anybody in their community, they can get help with that from the consultant who sort of is from that same background as well.
Aruna, tell us about your own experience here. I mean, it's up to you how much you want to actually tell us and how much you want to go into it. But I'm curious as to, obviously, you've had experience where you say you've been shunned, where you've had this reaction from the community, but you turned that negative into a positive, if I may say so, by setting up this network to help others. So you've made sure something positive comes out with it. But tell us about the negative. What was happening when you found yourself as an Asian single parent?
We don't actually have much contact with the Asian community where I am. We don't have a great deal of Asians in our area. I'm from Kent. So even when we did encounter other people, I didn't really have anything to do with them because I thought, well, I've not done anything wrong. I had 2 arranged marriages. The second marriage ended because I was thrown out for dowry. So on a honeymoon, that husband said, well, your parents didn't buy us a house or a car. So, and within 2 months, I was thrown out because they just got greedy and wanted more. So I thought, well, I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm not going to be ashamed if I go anywhere and people sort of look at me from the Asian community. It's never really bothered me. Yeah. And my family have actually been very supportive in that respect. They never said, you've got to stick at marriage. Well, I didn't have a choice in that respect because I was actually thrown out. But they've always been very supportive. And as I say, I didn't do anything wrong.
You certainly didn't, Aruna. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but my jaw has hit the ground with what you have just said about your experience. I have heard of this sort of situation over a dowry and threats being made to the wife and kicking her out. I've heard of that sort of stuff, only heard of that sort of stuff happening in India. I was not aware that that sort of disgusting action happens in this country amongst British Asians. And, well, by the sound of it wasn't that long ago. I mean, we're not talking like, many, many years ago. So it's happening now.
This was 30 years ago.
Right. Okay. But that's still relatively recently. I mean, we're not talking about generations ago or anything like that. I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
So I lived with the in-laws. I was escorted off the property because I refused to sort of, I put my foot down and refused to sort of give in any further to their demands. And I didn't have any rights because I was living with the in-laws. And, if you don't have your own home, apparently, you don't have any rights. Wow. So, yes, unfortunately, that was the case with me. I'm
so sorry to hear that. And even just to hear it is disturbing. To have gone through that and lived through that and experienced that, I can't even imagine how traumatic that would have been for you. And then it was after that soon after that the Asian Single Parents Network, the idea came about? Or was it a few years later?
Well, I got married a second time 4 years later. And it was when that marriage too broke down after having my daughter that I created the network. I set it up on something called Meetup. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but it was just to get together with other people because it was just me, my daughter at the weekends, and all my friends were in couples. So just wanted to sort of meet with other people in the same boat and also to help others because I'd been through it twice.
Goodness. And I know many people over the years since you've set it up have got in touch with you and engage with the Asian Single Parents Network. But you hold a lot of your events in London. I know you live in Kent, but you hold a lot of your events in London and people contact you from across the country. Why in London?
Well, we have groups in different areas. So, for instance, we've got Midlands group, we've got Manchester group, we've got different groups in different locations. So people in those different areas will hold events in their local areas so they get to know others that are nearby. And it's quite good if you've got an emergency or something happens, they've got other people close by that they can sort of contact and their kids sort of, also become friends with people in the local area. But we tend to do things mainly in London because it's central.
Yeah.
So because we do have members all over, people from Kent, for example, can go to London quite easily, Surrey, Essex. So, it's just a central meeting point, really.
And this is a pan-religion group, isn't it? As in, it's not for Hindus or for Sikhs or for Muslims or for Jains or for anyone else. You welcome people of all faiths and backgrounds.
Yes, there's no restriction at all.
Right.
So anybody can come along and join at all.
And over the years, have you noticed, I don't know, maybe the stigma starting to erode? Is there less of a stigma now? Is it as bad as it was? How are things changing as time goes on year?
I think there's less of a stigma than there used to be because people are talking about it more. So I found, sort of our members are talking about it more. We have events and people are more willing to talk about their experiences. So we've appeared in various media and more of our members and more people are willing to talk about these things, which I don't think they were years ago.
Yeah.
So it's becoming slowly, there's a lot more work to be done, more accepted.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a lot more to be done, really.
Yeah, no, I kind of get what you're saying because, I mean, thinking myself, I mean, as time goes on, you hear more and more. It's because it's less common. People living as single parents, and it's just no big deal. I think for a lot of people now, and so hopefully the stigma is going. And what about the young people? What about the children who are involved? What's it like for them? I mean, you know, there is a stigma within the Asian community if you come from a single parent background. How bad is it for the children? Do they suffer?
I think they don't always, because they see other families, they're used to seeing the family unit. It's quite difficult for children sometimes because they don't see other people in a single parent household. But that's what's so good about our group, because we do get children, obviously the parents bring their children along and they meet other children in their situation. So it's quite good in that respect.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it'd be quite difficult for them because they wouldn't know anybody in the same situation. So they would feel quite isolated in that experience.
Sure, yeah. And so it's good to know other young people going through what they're going through, knowing that they're not the odd one out in many ways.
Exactly.
Now, Aruna, we're coming up to Christmas. Now, it doesn't matter what your faith is, what your background is. Christmas is Christmas is Christmas. It's there for everyone, and we all enjoy Christmas, I suppose, if we're honest about it. But seeing as it's not next month, actually, it's this month now. My goodness, time flies. Isn't it? So, hang on, where are we?
Well,
I'm
a month.
Well, it is next month. Hang on. It is. We're a month away. Okay. Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
This is what my life's like. I don't even know what time of year it is. But okay, right. So Christmas is next month, about a month away. And it is a stressful time for many parents. It's a time children look forward to. But especially for single parents, it must be difficult. What advice can you offer to perhaps ease their anxiety and stress as we approach Christmas?
I would say when it comes to money, make a budget and stick to it. So be realistic about what you can afford. And maybe set a spending limit with the other parents so you're not competing against each other. And just plan ahead if your child, where your child is going to spend Christmas. So if you're not with your child on the day, there are other days to enjoy Christmas together. And also, if you don't have your child that day, make plans for yourself as well and think about yourself, what you're going to do on that day. So you don't feel, sort of alone, or, sort of even do charity work on that day if you don't have any family or friends to spend that time with.
What a really nice suggestion that is, actually, to do charity work, because that's very fulfilling doing that any time.
Yes.
But you're right, particularly Christmas. I've done that previously, and it's a lovely time of year to do that. Aruna Bansal, tell us how people can get in touch with or find out more about the Asian Single Parents Network, which you set up.
Okay, you can contact us on our website, which is www.aspnetwork.org.uk. We're on most social media platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're everywhere. Great.
And they can just search for Asian Single Parents Network.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Aruna Bansal, thank you for sharing your experience with us, and also for telling us more about this network which you've created, doing a lot of good out there for so many people. I know that for a fact, and it's good to know that the support is there for people who need it, and you welcome people from all backgrounds, all faiths, and you regularly have events where people can get together. Aruna Bansal, many thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Play BBC News for London.